September the 13th berries. The most inviting of all berries this month is probably the most dangerous. Deadly nightshade, Atropa belladonna, is not named after the fate of Atropos for nothing. It was she with her two sisters who were responsible for measuring the life of all mortals. One wore the thread of life, another spun it, but it was Atropos who brought it to an end by cutting it with her shears. The bush produces large, slightly flattened blackberries, which look not unlike giant black currants. They sit singly on the top of the bush at about hand height, surrounded by a small cluster of leaves. The berry is full of intensely sweet purple juice, but 3 can kill a child and between 20 and 30 an adult. Death comes after a period of excitement, hallucinations, and possibly coma. Be that as it may, it still grows happily along the Thames and is present in many of London's parks and gardens. The reason it has probably avoided eradication is that a single bush is capable of producing up to 400 berries, each of which may contain 150 seeds. Birds love the berries and are probably responsible for dispersing it so successfully, along with a 60% germination rate. Equally dangerous and even more common are yew berries, which now festoon churchyards. The seeds, which start off brown and turn purple, are set in a pink jelly-like bell from which each seed slightly protrudes. This seductive pink aril is harmless, but not so the seeds, which have been known to stop the heart beating in less than 5 minutes. Downland is a particularly good habitat to see a range of interesting fruits at this time of year. The multicoloured wayfaring trees seen last month are now joined by the fruits of the guelder rose, viburnumopulus, which sometimes looks like clear coral-coloured glass beads. There are also now large patches of blood-red stems starting to appear. These belong to our native dogwood, Cornus sanguinea, which is losing its leaves and revealing its small black berries. As in elder, these are held on brightly coloured stalks. The berries, although edible, are too bitter and astringent to be enjoyed. Another similar-looking bush seen on the downs, also carrying blackberries, is our native buckthorn, Rhamnus carpathicus. In the past, these were the purgative of choice, even though their effect was more violent and painful than most other remedies. This doesn't seem to trouble thrushes, blackbirds, and great tits, all of which appear to relish them. There is another buckthorn, also with blackberries, which is usually taller and eschews downland for acidic woodlands in our area. This is the older buckthorn, Frangula ornus, which is also a strong purgative, but this time it was the bark that was used and not the berries. Fieldfares seem to seek it out at the edges of woods on downland, while Privet, Ligustrum vulgare, usually goes unnoticed until now, when its shiny blackberries make it stand out more. Although so familiar in London gardens, it is not well known that the berries of wild privet can kill children, and even their juice can cause dermatitis. For rarer, more unusual fruits, it is worth visiting the gardens at Wisley, especially for the crabapple, rowan and whitebeam collections in the arboretum. The usual street crabapples with their eye-catching fruits are present, for example, Malus golden hornet, yellow, Malus John Downey, rose red, and Malus van Esseltine, yellow and pink. Other rarer apples and even rarer cultivars, some of which have persistent fruits lasting well into the winter, include the Taringo crabapple, Malus sibolii, and a Chinese crabapple, Malus spectabilis. The sorbus collection, i.e. rowans and whitebeams, is equally diverse. Both start off with green berries that usually turn either orange or scarlet. However, as there are over 70 different sorbus species, and then innumerable cultivars, their berries can range from pearly white to carmine, rose pink and crimson. Some, such as Sorbus wilfordiana, mix vivid fruit colour with vivid leaf colour. Others, such as our own native wild service tree, Sorbus torminalis, have a much more muted speckled leather brown fruits. Whilst at Wisley, it is also worth exploring the viburnum collection and looking for a Solomon's seal, for example, Polygonatum multiflorum. The fruits of Solomon's seal are usually inky blue, each with 3 distinctive grooves. They form small rows of delicate drooping clusters on the woodland floor. Other rare fruits to seek out include Actia spicata, Holbolia latifolia, Sorimatum venosum, and the uniquely ornamental strawberry pink fruits of the Japanese strawberry tree, Cornus kousa. They can all be found at Wisley.